Okay, for today, this is day 2 of 9.1. And this is about arithmetic and geometric sequences. So we're on day 2 of it. And I want you to add a slide in here. And we're just going to do a little review of yesterday. So I gave you many different terms the other day, but one of them was how to add up. If I have a sequence that's going like this, I'm going to multiply by 2, and then I multiply by 2 again, and then I multiply by 2 again, right? Is that arithmetic or geometric? It's geometric. I'd like you to find me the 10th term, and I don't want you to just do it by times it by 2 a bunch of times. I want you to use the formula that I taught you. What is the 10th term? And I might understand that you have to leave this as a little multiply problem because the numbers get big. All right, I'm going to pause for a second while you try to find me the 4th term in that 10th term in that geometric sequence. All right, you should have had a formula for this. Random person. It's row 5, person 1. That's you. So what did you do? Tell me what formula you used. A sub 0 times, why are you multiplying? Don't we only add for these? It's geometric, okay. So then I'm timesing by what?
The ratio, which is
R to the what? That is a formula that you should know. How many of you could have replicated that all by yourself? Okay, excellent. Now tell me what to stick in where. Original amount's 1. Put no 1 here. Ratio's 2, because it's multiplying by 2 every time. And then n minus 1, what's that? 10 minus 1 is 9, so it's actually 1 times 2 to the 10th. No, 2 to the 9th, sorry. Not what you said. Yeah, I know, 1 times it is the same thing. Okay, so raise your hand if you got 2 to the 9th. Okay, awesome. So what if instead they had just given us the first term, they didn't tell us it was multiplying by 2, and they told us the 10th term was 2 to the 9th? How could you have figured out that this was a ratio of 2? A common ratio question with a 2. Hint, use the formula again. Go ahead and use the formula. This time, I know the answer, and so do you. But given the first term and the 10th term, and told that it's geometric, you can find ratio. Same formula, no new formula needed. Pause, we give that a shot. All right, so I'm going to start with a formula. A sub n equals a sub 0 times r to the n minus 1. Is that the right formula? Okay, and then what do I know? Mr. M, tell me something I know and what I can put. Okay, I'm going to put a 1 right there. Now what? Not exactly a 10. What is a sub n when I get there? 2 to the 9th. Okay. And now, how do I solve? Well, wait a minute. I know more. What else do I know? Yes. The 10. N is 10. So n is 10. So now all of a sudden I simplify this down. 2 to the 9th equals 1 times, which doesn't really do anything, r to the 9th. And then, it's kind of like if you make the bases the same, the exponents have to be equal. If the exponents are equal and the bases have to be the same, you get that r, you could have solved this by saying, oh, r must equal 2 then. You know what I'm saying? If these are equal, then those must be the same. All right, so there we go. R equals 2. That's a way to solve it. You start by just taking the equation and you stick stuff in it. It's kind of the moral for today is know your equations. So how about, you probably, I think you know that we learned the algebraic and the geometric equations yesterday. Let's make a big list of all the equations that you know. And this will be handy for you as you are studying for your next big test because you'll have them all in one place, at least up till now. All right. So what is the arithmetic? There we go. I can't spell apparently. A-R-I-T-H. I'll just stop there. Formula, it's a sub n equals, do you remember it, Mr. TP? What do you get? I think you call it something else when it's arithmetic. D. There we go. Okay. Perfect. That's one of them. Mr. AF. Give me another one. Yes. And minus one. There you go. That's right. Okay. Got those two? All right. Then what is a sub n? What is it? Is it the sixth term? Is it the first term? It's any term. Also known as the nth term. That's any term. Okay. Some of the formulas had a to the n plus 1 in them. Want to turn it off? Just turn it off. It's got, I think if once you're ready to turn it down, the next question will be turn it off. So let's get it over with. Okay, next. What is a to the n plus 1 then? If that's any term, then relative to a sub n, it's the next term. It's the term after a sub n. I'm just going to simplify that by saying it's the next term. Compared to a sub n, what is a sub n minus 1? One in front of it, the past term, but I think I'm going to use a different P word. What do you think? Previous. Guess I said P. Some of the high school guys especially can't resist that one. I'll tell you a P joke. You know about the what made the pterodactyl such a deadly predator? Because even his P was silent. Yes. All right. So what is n? What is n? Well, if we have a sub n, it's kind of telling us which term we're on, right? Because if a sub n is like 3, n is 3, and then it's like it's the term that we're on. What's r? And don't say the common ratio, because I know that's what it is. But there's a formula for it. Yes, sir? Any term divided by the term in front of it. You get that when you translate that to any term divided by the term in front of it, doesn't it make sense? That is the ratio. That's r. When would you ever need that? What if I told you the r was like 2? Then you could go, oh, so 2 equals a sub n over a sub n minus 1. Or here's another way. You're going to step up now where instead of just having terms be like 1, 5, and that was adding 4, so 9, dot, dot, dot. Instead, you're going to have things like this. 2x plus 4 is your first term. 3x minus 9 is your second term. See what I'm saying? So then, if you know that you can take, to find the r, you can take a sub n and then the term in front of it, I could take that and divide by that. See? And if I know my common ratio is 2, then I could say 2 equals that. And then that's an equation I could solve. So the moral of the story is it'll be handy to have an equation for the ratio. How about D? That's got to have one too then, right? Everybody figure that one out for yourself and write it down. I'll pause for a second while you try to write down what you think the formula for D is. So you should have said that I have to just subtract two things, and so you should have said a sub n minus a sub n minus 1. Or, and a sub n plus 1, what? Minus a sub n. And sometimes it's handy to know that both of those things are true. Hint on the challenge problem for today, knowing that both of those things are true. The challenge we're going to do in class, not like one of those homework ones that kids often don't do, and I don't blame you. You got busy lives. All right, so that's a whole bunch of formulas that are going to be really handy. So what if I just said, well, I want you for my formula, it's going to use this in it. And I'm going to have you divide by this. And your numbers are the only numbers you know. What's the middle one then? You can call it a sub n if you want to. And then what would the one in front of it be? And then what's the one at the end? And therefore, what did I really just ask you to do? 48 divided by 44. So this is like a language, and you got to learn how to speak it. All right. So what if I said, I know my first term is 2a plus 3. I don't know my next couple terms, but I know my last term is 12a minus 2. What would you need to know to be able to do this? To be able to figure out each term, if it's geometric or arithmetic. Okay, good. So let's say that this one is arithmetic. Do you know any formulas that apply? I hope so. Could you stick things into the formula? Figure things out? I think you can. I'm going to pause for a minute and see if you can put something together here. Okay, so arithmetic. What did that tell me? Oh, I can use this formula. AN equals A0 plus D times N minus 1. Well, which of these do I know? N is 4. I like it. So then 4 minus 1 becomes 3. Okay, what else do I know? A0, our first term, is what? 2a plus 3, so I put that here. And I also know the last term. the fourth term, the a sub n. The a sub n, the term when we got there, to this 4 minus 1, which is in there, is 12a minus 2. Could you solve that and find d? You can get d, but it's in terms of a. All right, so now your next, that's all I asked you to do was try to set that thing up. I'm going to give you one that's a little more concrete, and it's one I want you to work with a partner on. And it looks like that. Everybody find this one in your notes. It's kind of light blue. And you're going to have to use what you know about, well, this one's geometric. So what do you know about geometric? You know a couple formulas there. And I want to make this more clear because it isn't in the directions. That's the first term, that's the second term, and that's the third term. Those are in order. Otherwise, this wouldn't work. I'm going to put you in groups right now and see if you can figure this one out. Just like last time, I just want you to set it up. If you can set up an equation that only has one variable in it, then you'd be able to solve it eventually. If nothing else, you could always graph both sides and see where they crossed, right? So can you set this up so you have an equation with only one variable? There's a couple little tricks to it. See if you can figure it out. Okay, let's see how this one goes. This one's not easy, I get that. But I think once you see it set up, you're going to go, oh, that's really not that hard. If it's geometric, do you agree that it has an R, a ratio? Do you get that the ratio would be this one divided by this one? 5k plus 4 over k plus 4. And remember me saying that it's kind of handy to know the other version of it too? So what does R also equal to? Come on, what else could R be? K plus 20 divided by that one. 5k plus 4. Why is that important? Because if you just say, well, here's my answer, you have two variables and only one equation. You did not solve it. It's solved for R. But if you try to solve for k, you're going to have an R in your answer. But if you have two equations that have two variables, then you can put the one in the other, and you'll get only down to just one equation. So since they're both equal to R, you could put this right here, and then you'll have just one equation that has only k's in it. I'll write it in blue here. It will be k plus 20 over 5k plus 4 will equal that. 5k plus 4 over k plus 4. Then I can cross multiply and go k plus 20 times k plus 4. Do you get where I'm going with this? That times that will equal that times that. 5k plus 4 times 5k plus 4, which is just squared. And I know that's icky to solve, but you got a quadratic on each side. You can then subtract them all, get them all onto one side, and then you'll have it equal to 0. And if you can factor it, you should. And if you can't factor it, you could use quadratic formula. Okay. All right, that would take a while. What else could you also do if I let you? Calculator with what was graph both sides, see where they cross. Okay, good. All right, so just setting it up was the challenge there, not to actually solve it. If you really, really want to, you could use that. It's on the board there, and graph both of them and see where they cross. Okay, yes?
What if, for example, I solved for R and then I plugged it in again into the equation?
Did you get a big equation that had k's in it?
I got 5.
It's fine. Yep. if it's just same thing equaling the same thing, then something went wrong in how you did it. Because if you just say like 6k plus 7 equals 6k plus 7, when you get the same thing on both sides, then it actually means that, I'll simplify it, 7 equals 7, because I can subtract 6k from both sides, right? And then if you're ever left with a true statement, it means everything works, all solutions. And it's not that for an answer. So what you did didn't quite work. This should have just one solution, but it could actually have two solutions. It's weird, but sometimes you can have a positive answer that would work as your ratio, and you could have a negative answer that could also work as your ratio. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. So moral of the story is these can be tough to set up, but it can be done. And now I'm going to get you started in your homework. So everybody find your homework, which looks kind of like, not that one, that's yesterday's. Right here, the blue one. This first one is nice and easy. Find the 10th term if the first 4 terms are that. And no, I don't want you to just figure out that it's going down by 4 each time and then keep subtracting 4 until you finally hit the 10th term. I want you to use the formula. It's going to be much better for you to have to think through, what is that formula again for the, what's this? Oh, it's going down 4. That's arithmetic, so that's this one, etc. All right, moving on to number 8. It tells you 3 terms. And it says there are 3 consecutive terms. That's what that other problem was missing that I thought needed to be there. Those are 3 consecutive terms of an arithmetic. Ooh, that's also important. Wouldn't it be handy to know if it's arithmetic, 12 minutes left. If it's arithmetic, wouldn't it be handy to know what the D is? So couldn't we find D by taking this minus this? Also, you could find it by taking that minus that, and then you got 2 equations, etc. Okay, I don't want to give you that many hints on all of these. Here, this is just a funny way to say they know the first term, they don't know the second, they don't know the third, and they know the 4th term. And that it's arithmetic. And you can figure out what this and this are. Now, if this was simple numbers like 2, and then I don't know this, and I don't know this, and I know this is 8, I know you could kind of piece it together and go, oh, they're just adding by 2 each time. But they're just not simple numbers. So what are you going to do? I would go back to formulas like we just talked about. Okay, on this kind, this is a complicated way to tell you the first 3 terms. And in fact, you could keep writing terms forever. But the first term is where you'd stick in a 1. If I stick in a 1 here, I'm going to get 2 times 1 is 2, plus -5 makes -3. -3 is the first term. You figure out the next couple terms, and then it'll be easy to tell what the common difference is, and the first term I already got there. So, okay, so this is just a reminder. This is how they often will tell you your list of terms in a formula. You should make the first 3 terms, figure out what they are, and then you'll be able to answer these 2 questions really easily. All right, and the last one here. This one, it says that the sum, as in this plus this plus this, of the first of 3 of the terms, actually it doesn't say the first 3 terms, is 35 over 2. Do you get how that's an equation? Except I don't know what to put for those. Except you do. You don't necessarily know what number they are, but you could put some kind of a variable system. You could actually use A and B and C if you wanted to, but I think it'll be easier if you use A sub n, etc. All right. So the product is this, means that this times that equals 125. If you get a couple equations set up, I think you can solve this one. And it's not brutal. You just got to have an aha moment as you're solving it. All right, that's the only homework for tonight is that. You are slid next to somebody, or you were anyway. I encourage you to work with them for the rest of the hour to see if you can get your homework accomplished in a more rapid manner than usual. That's all I got for you for today.